Hello everybody and welcome, my name is Ursa Ryan, this is Civ 6 and we're playing Korea, which could only mean that it's the Civ 6 A to Z challenge. We're already well into K. Look at that, look how much we've come, how far we've come, and how many layers of sanity I've already stripped from my already fragile mind. There's still so much to go, it's fine. Whilst this is an A to Z challenge video, what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be making this into a bit of a guide, because when chatting to my channel supporters on Ko-fi and Patreon, plug, come support the channel if you want to support the series and help the channel generally, we discussed that Korea was a little bit of a polarizing civ. On the one hand, you have Camp A, like myself, which is along the lines of Korea is incredibly overpowered and brilliant. On the other hand, you have a very sizable camp of people that say Korea is disjointed and difficult to use, and because of that isn't necessarily as good as some of the other best civs in the game. So today I'm going to be showing you how to use them as a beautiful civ in a Overexplained guide. This series is going to be me talking a lot and going through the game very slowly. I will be over-explaining everything. I apologize for nothing. This is going to be a very long game, and I'm going to basically be showing you everything that I would be doing and going through all my decision-making processes. Now, a lot of my series can seem a little bit more streamlined. I can rush through the game and do things very quickly in a jaunty and comical and fast cut style. And whilst I'm going to be trying to keep a little bit of that, I will be going into detail this playthrough. I hope it's good. If you're not keen on such a long, really in-depth guide because you are a Civ 6 Deity Master already, good for you. I approve of your candor, but I suggest you go to the playlists bit of the channel and have a look. All of the other A to Z challenges is there, and I think I'm well over 250 Civ 6 series by now. It's crazy how many series of Civ 6 I've put out. I've played every leader at least 3 times, so go and have a look. I saw a lot of people saying, Chandragupta, you didn't play him. Oh, I've played him like 5 times, and the channel supporters said when I got to India we were playing Gandhi. That's great. If you want to see a Chandragupta run, I have so many of them. Go and find them. If you would like to play this game along with me, come to Discord, link always in the description of the videos. You can take the save file from this exact game and put it onto your computer. If, however, you are feeling retro and want to do it the old-fashioned way, this is a Deity standard speed game. Continents and Islands, what I think is probably the best map script. I really like that one. With a balanced start position, 6-player, small map, everything else left the same. We haven't changed the civs, we haven't changed the city-states, I haven't changed the resources or the spawn bias. This is a game as given to us randomly, and I think because of that, a good chance to be very adaptable and play to Korea's strengths. Korea. I would advertise Korea as being an incredibly strong civ, an incredibly strong scientific civ. Just like in Civ 5, if you ever remember Korea, there used to be these science masters outside of Babylon in Civ 5. Really not much has changed, has it? They remain scientific masters, but they do not play like a regular civ. There are a few civs in the game that have slightly jaunty rules. Mali is a good example of one. Gaul would be another good example. Civs that have slightly different ways of calculating adjacencies, district placements. You kind of have to adapt what you're doing. Vietnam would be a very good example as well. I would put Korea in with that kettle of fish, and they actually play in a very similar way to a heavy preserve game, weirdly enough, and we'll be going into that in a little bit of detail, but let's just have a look. And I will just say now, my Korean pronunciation is terrible because I do not speak Korean, and Korean is just about as far away from posh boys English as you could get. My British accent does not translate well to Korean. I'm going to try, but I don't want any grief because I'm giving it a good go, okay? So behave yourselves. Firstly, we have Hwarang. I'm going to just try and roll I'm rolling my R's and I don't even know if I can roll my R's, so ignore that completely. Governors. This is actually a really simple ability, and it's actually a very good one to get your head around. Governors established in a city provide 3% culture and 3% science for each promotion they have earned, including their first. Now, that means that a governor can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 promotions, including their first. Stick a governor with 6 promotions in a city, and that city will get 18% culture and science. To put that into perspective, the Kilwa ability, where you take 2 different suzerains of the same type of city-state, so science, for instance, if I had Mitla and Geneva on side. That would give all cities a 15% bonus. So it's already a pretty strong bonus. If a city is ecstatic, so it's got 5 amenities more than it needs or more, it would get a 20% bonus. So again, it's a pretty comparable bonus. Scotland, who are considered to be the other strong science civ, get a 10% science bonus when a city is ecstatic. So 18 can be a lot more potent, but it is very reliant on governors. Now you kind of have a choice. Either you stack your governors onto one city and create a science nexus, that's a good idea, or you can spread your governors around and start to drip that little effect in from city to city. The choice is yours. We are going to be, of course, using Pingala this run, and I strongly advise you use Hwarang with Pingala. It's a very strong combo. Next up, we have 3 Kingdoms, which is Korea's ability, and it stacks with the Sewon. And again, it could be Sewon or Seon. I don't think you say the W, do you? Seon. It's the unique campus district. Now, this is what gives most people headaches. It must be built on hills. So a little bit like the Acropolis from Greece, it can only be put on hill tiles. Now, that means cities can be a little bit restricted, but I'll let you know already. There is enough hills on the map on an average map. Unless you play on a deliberately flat map, Korea will have enough hills. Hills, I think, normally get put on like a third to half of all tiles on a map. You should be fine. It can be built in half the time. It has half the production cost. That in itself is golden. It means you can pop cities down really quickly and very early in the production cycle put that district down. It's a huge thing. The +4 science is always the adjacency. Now, to put that into perspective, one of the most amazing cards that you can take on any science game is rationalism. Now, this card into the Renaissance era gives you 50% extra science from buildings in campuses or my unique campus if the city is 15 population or higher, or if a district has at least 4 adjacency bonus. At least 4 adjacency bonus, eh? That's handy. All of my campuses will. It's a very, very strong play for Korea. However, and this is when you start to look at them a little bit like preserves. Preserves are the thing to keep in mind, right? Whenever we play a game of Civ and we go, oh, let's do some yield porn and put down mysticism and then get these lovely preserves. What you do is you pop the preserve down and then you leave all of the tiles around it completely free so that they are unimproved and they take the benefits of things like groves and sanctuaries that you put down within the preserve itself. I want you to think of the campus district a little bit like that. Although we are going to improve the tiles, we don't want to put other districts next to it, including a city centre, because every district that goes next to it has -1 science. The way to think about this is that your campus district are full of antisocial scientists. They hate other people. If you put anyone else near them, they're going to not like it. Even taking away the -1, so to go from +4 to +3, that removes the benefit of the rationalism card. So it's a bit of a pain. You don't want to do it. To make it better, 3 Kingdoms comes in. Mines get an extra science for every adjacent Sewon. The farms get +1 food in the same way. Note how it says every adjacent Sewon. This is where the tessellation comes in, where we start to stack districts, a little bit like we do with preserves, and I'll show you that a little bit later. Finally, we have the Hwacha. This is a unique Korean field cannon. It has exactly the same range strength. I don't know why it says high ranged attack strength. It's exactly the same as the field cannon, and it cannot move and attack in the same turn. So already it's worse. Why is it so good though? Well, it's all about timing. Normally, ballistics is where you get, I don't know why I just left click, that's really annoying. This is where you get field cannons from normally. Well, into the industrial era. Hwachas come from gunpowder, 2 techs before at the beginning of the Renaissance era. Muskets are the strongest unit of that little bit of an era, very same to the pike and shock, 55 strength. Chances are most units won't be that strong though. Knights, 50 strength. Coursers, 46. You can see man-at-arms and pikemen are both 45, so a 60 strength ranged attack, that will blow units out of the water, especially if you have a garrison that gives it +10, suddenly that's a 70 strength. People will not be able to hit you. It is incredibly strong. And Korea's strength is of course getting there, because with our unique campus, we're going to race through the scientific game. Let me just tell you, any Korea game, because of the speed of which you can build it and the insane +4 science you get pretty much on any start, do this at the beginning of the game. Click writing, and forget about it. That's all you need to do with science at the beginning of the game. Then we'll think about the tech tree afterwards, about whether we want to find horses or beeline for iron, or maybe even get out to sea or make a religion. No, writing, just do it. Trust me. Trust me. So how to play Korea? Scientifically, you're going to use science as your backbone. It's very easy to accumulate science as Korea, but you don't want to forget about culture. Luckily, I do have bonuses to culture, but monuments, theatre squares, Pingala, anyone that gives you culture is going to be an incredibly useful acquisition. We will be using our science to basically beeline up the tech tree and go for a military power. Now, Korea works well at getting science victories because the science output can be crazy, but we also work well on domination victories, and we kind of want to tread the line between the two. If anything, we should go for a science victory if our science is sort of second rate. If the game is keeping up with us, science victory is a really good way of doing it. If we start to run away with the game, domination victory works because then we'll be sending out jet bombers against field cannons. That's when you want to take advantage of your science. But to do that, we need an empire, and already we're looking at the start. Now, whenever you look at the start, you're looking for a few things. Obviously, you're looking for fresh water. Settling on fresh water is advisable, especially with Korea, because Korea, what you want to be doing is going for a Pingala start. Now, Pingala, the first promotion of Pingala gives 15% science and culture. It's actually 18% because you get 15 and then 3% on top of that. So that's pretty good already. Then you have connoisseur for culture and researcher for science. By the time you have all three promotions, you're getting 24% science and culture in your capital, as well as a culture and science for every population. This is why housing is very important as Korea, and you kind of, at least in your capital, you do want to go for it. Now, if there is no housing, don't worry. Focus on science, get the granary down, put your farms down, and beeline towards aqueducts. This will give you the 6 housing that you're after and will solve the problem for you. We are also going to be keeping an eye on going towards political philosophy, getting the government plaza, getting some governors, and actually, clicking the left click button, that's going to be really annoying, we're going to be looking to go towards the audience chamber. This is the tier 1 government plaza building that gives 2 amenities and 4 housing in any city with a governor. Governors, governors, governors. It's what Korea does really well, and the extra amenities makes our cities happy. Happy cities generate more science. Stack the benefits. Stack, 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 stack. Later into the game, there are a couple of wonders we want to be going for as well. Kilwa, I mentioned this before, but Kilwa is a way of getting a lot of extra science. A lot of extra science. 15% in the city that you build it if you have 1 scientific city-state. If you're lucky enough to have 2 in the game, you can get a 15% bonus across your empire. This doesn't always happen. There are 9 city-states in the game. It's a bit random as to whether we're going to get 2 scientific ones. Very late into the game, we also have the option to get the Amundsen Scott Research Station. 20% science in all cities, 10% production in all cities. It's really, really, really good. But we'll think about that a little bit later. At the beginning, just wait until you've got Code of Laws. We've already clicked on writing. We have a look at the starting location. As I said, this river's pretty good for fresh water. It looks like there is another river there, as you can see on the map tag. So there's a second sort of settleable slot. And look at all these hills. This is a very hilly start. Now, Korea wants hills because you can't put your unique district down. And lots of hills mean lots of mines that give science, so it's a very scientific-minded start. But what you don't want to do is do nothing but science, because then you won't get any food. You also want to look for tiles. 2-2, 2-2, 2-2. These are good tiles. I also have a double salt deposit, which is good. It means there's 2 salts for me to sell. But also, you put mines down on salt. I have to do that in order to get the luxury. And oh look, there is a hill. Now watch what happens to the mines when I put my district down next to it. Haha, my compulsory mines have an extra science. Beautiful. So this is a really, really good district. If I settle on this tile, it is a hill, but it is a grassland hill. So I will lose the production from it. It's only worth 2 food, 1 production. And I'll get rid of the wood. So this will actually make the tile worse settling on it. I'd like to work that tile. So I'm actually going to drop down 1 tile to this flat land. It's going to give the same yield, a 2-1, but it frees up this tile for later into the game. It also puts me closer to my unique district and to the salt, so I haven't got to have as much golden culture to get that. I'm going to move my warrior just down in the other direction, and we're going to go and see what's going on here. Now, I could have gone left. There are some 3-1 tiles that the sheep are going to be working for, but it puts me a little bit over to this heavy hill area, and I'd rather have a bit of a range of biomes. We've got plains and grassland over here. I think that's fine. And as you can see, I've moved 1 tile. There is some floodplain, so already that's looking like a pretty decent farm. There is a mountain tile here, which is a bit of a problem. It doesn't do anything for my district, but what it does do is, yeah, I mean, I lose 1 improved tile at the expense of getting 2 very awesome salts. I'm pretty happy with what we're doing. That's where we're going to settle. And we're working a 2-2 tile. That's pretty good. I could focus on getting gold at the expense of production, but I don't really need to do that. And early game, it's always good to scout around. I'm obviously going to be going heavily militarily, and because I'm going to go basically so scientifically, I could go warriors or slingers and basically hold on to them and upgrade them later for crossbows and for men at arms. Scouts are cheap, they're quick, you get lots of era score by exploring the map, they die really quickly. It's a bit of a toss-up. Now, for me personally, I have 8 turns until I get a level, so I'm going to use a warrior because it matches up. If I had 1 or 2 more production, I'd go for a double scout rush. But for now, I'd rather have the warrior, especially if we get attacked early game by an aggressive deity AI. It can be really, really handy having that little bit more defensive strength, and warriors can hold their own. Now, my starting units, I always suggest going to explore with them. It's kind of okay to keep them near your capital and sort of protect it, but ultimately you can make units quicker, so it's fine. You can see actually the tundra begins just below me, and this is so hilly, really hilly down here. There are luxuries, there's lots of deers, there could be a decent Temple of Artemis city down here to get some food, but all of these hills combined with some mountains, I'm sort of thinking, well, this could well be a good sort of tessellation area for some scientific districts. Did you see there was a scout that just appeared and then disappeared immediately? I've been found by a barbarian encampment. That's a little bit worrying. It's a good thing we're getting a warrior. I feel better already about my warrior choice. If I'd gone scout, it would have run off. Oh, look, it's just teasing me now. It would have run off and would have been absolutely screwed. Now, there's a barbarian encampment there that's already been hit, and it's been hit by Auckland, who has not been met by anybody. Now, Auckland is a fantastic city-state if you are planning on getting out to sea, because it makes all of your coastal tiles super productive. I have quite a lot of sea. It is a continents and islands map. If I'm going to be going militarily, I will need a navy, so this is fine. Naturally, we can speak a little bit about warfare. I've mentioned on previous guides that I have a very strict 4-tier formula on the troops that you need to win a domination victory. The best troop that you can have right at the end of the game is a nuke. Nukes win everything. If you have the most nukes, you will win a domination victory. Simple. After that comes the Air Force. An Air Force is one of the most important things that a domination civ will need. It's so powerful. The range, the power, the strength, the ability to crush foes without being hit, in return, it makes it indispensable. Air Force is super important. After that, and only after that, comes a Navy. Now, navies are super important in Civ because of the maneuverability of them. Even a battleship has 5 movement points, and that will go up later in the game as we get more tech. Controlling bodies of waters beneath or between continents is important, and having that flexibility to redeploy units means that a navy is even more important than an army. An army is actually the least important thing you need. You can win domination victories with an air force and a navy and like 1 military unit to go and take the cities. You don't need an army. Army is the weakest element. So later into the game, I do want to be thinking about a navy, and I do want to be thinking about an air force. In order to get an air force, I need aluminium, which won't be discovered until much later in the game. And to guarantee I have aluminium, I need a lot of land. So expansion is important. I want sea access, and we're going to be looking to take harbors. Now, harbors are really good because they give you gold, but they also give you lots of food and housing, especially on a map with Auckland. They also give you production. So already, I'm a happy chicken. This is fine. Oh, that scout is just waiting on top of a tribal village. You jammy git. Oh my goodness, what is that staff? Why would you do that? Is that a dog or is that a wolf? I've never noticed that about the scout before. That is cool. We're talking very far ahead. What we need to do is to get ourselves a bit more space. I'm gonna immediately, as soon as I go to population 2, we're gonna jump on a settler. Now, I could go for a builder to get these mines up and running, but I haven't got mining, and I'm going for writing first. So for now, I can't improve anything. I've got lots of 2-2 tiles that are now being worked and stacked. I might as well get a settler out. Now, I can't kill this barb encampment. It means that Auckland can't with one unit. I'm just going to move around. I'm going to let them attack once and hope that they only attack with once and not with their injured troop, so that they leave that encampment for me to claim. It's a cheeky strategy. I don't know if it'll work. It did work. Look at that. They've left it injured, and now I can go and take it. This gives me the era score, the gold, and the military tradition, Eureka. So it's all good, or the inspiration, I should say. Military tradition is really important to go for late into the game. Sorry, not late into the game, the opposite, early into the game, because it unlocks flanking and support combat bonuses. The amount of times I have done early war and forgotten about those bonuses, I cannot even tell you. Let's get this tribal encampment, and there's an astrology boost. Okay, well, astrology is good if we're going religion. I don't know if we are going religion, to be honest, but that's fine. A CAD, melee and anti-cavalry units do full damage to city walls. Now, do you remember what I said about having army is the least important of all of the units on a domination victory? Well, ACAD helps to bridge that gap a little bit. It means that we don't need siege equipment when we attack. And more importantly, later, it means that we can still use that ability on Renaissance and steel walls. So that's really, really handy. But they have been met by somebody, which means if I go in this direction-ish, sort of this way, I'll meet somebody, and when I've met another civilization, I'll get the writing boost, and we can get our unique district down quickly. In fact, speak of the devil, is that red and white, or is that orange and white? That's either going to be Mali or Poland. I'm not sure at this point. We will see. That looks to be... Actually, I don't know. I really don't know. Is that orange, or is that pink or red? It was orange. Mali. Interesting. Now, Mali is actually a really, really difficult neighbor. They tend to be very aggressive, and they, in my experience, will attack you very quickly at the early stages of the game. They normally have a lot of gold. He's got a ton of science as well. Oh, that's not good. That means crossbows are coming quickly. So, in order to meet you, if he says, I want to come and see your city, you say no. If he says, come and see my city, you say yes. There is the capital, and that looks like, yep, Mount Roriyama. They have a lot of faith and a lot of science. That's why they're doing so well. Oh, what a start. This has got to be a priority kill for us. We want that city. It's too good. It also means that this area is going to be very, very fought over. I've got two options. Either I settle towards it and I try and defend it from the inevitable early warrior rush, or we go in the other direction under this sort of defensible hilly terrain with this lovely mountain range that's keeping it safe. I've just got to defend my capital at that point. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting choice. We're going to see how that one plays out. -8. If it's -2 or -3 from having just met you, it's worth sending a delegation. Anything more than that, don't bother. They will take the +3 that you get in terms of visibility or, diplomatic favor from sending a delegation, and they will just hate you anyway. It'll be a waste of 25 gold. And people say, oh, if you give a delegation, you get more diplomatic visibility and you get a combat bonus. It disappears. As soon as you go to war, any delegation or embassy disappears immediately. So it is totally pointless. Now, as soon as you get Code of Laws, go God King. It's worth going for Pantheon early game. Pantheons are way better than the +1 production your capital can get. The only time that that's not true is if you've got a relic or some other huge faith start that means that that faith will be pointless. I'm also going to go Discipline to give my combat units a little bit more strength against barbarians. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what's in this area to the left. Let's go and have a peek over there. We have a choice between craftsmanship and foreign trade. I like foreign trade because if you get an early war declaration, you can join ongoing wars and you can elect joint wars as well. So if there's another person, I might be able to protect myself by enlisting somebody into my joint war. Always look for things like culture on tiles where it shouldn't be. It means that there is a unique improvement. I think this is Giant's Causeway, 1 culture, and you can just about see the hexagonal sort of artwork there. Yep, Giant's Causeway is a big deal for us. Really big deal. Any combat unit or land combat unit that enters the adjacent plot gets a permanent +5 combat strength. That's massive. I'm going to want to put encampments around this and build my army around this wonder. Like even my warrior now, that +5 combat strength combined with battle cry gives +12. Battle cry is the first promotion that warriors get if you take the left-hand side of the tree. So yeah, that's awesome. So I just picked up a relic from a tribal hut. Big deal. Do you remember what I said about the fact that I don't need to have God King if I've got relics? It's well worth taking this card off at some point. 85 gold is far too much gold to pay to take it off, so I'm going to leave it for a little while. But a nice early game Pantheon. Useful. Now you can see Mali's already got 141 faith. That is crazy faith. They went religious settlements. It means they'll have an extra city. That's the settler Pantheon. It's already been taken. I mean, it's always normally going to get taken. I just got political philosophy from Candy. Candy gives you a relic every time you discover a natural wonder. Discover a natural wonder, eh? I know Mount Moriyama's there, so I could get Candy in and give myself an extra relic. The only problem is I don't have a space for another relic, but Mali will pay for it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to wait. I'm going to wait until I get a Pantheon, and then I'm going to sell it to Mali for a bunch of gold, and that early gold will help to boost my infrastructure. And you can see, look at this timing. Writing finished on the same turn that my settler went down. Now, it's all about tessellation when it comes to my unique improvement and making sure you have a nice ring of tiles that can be improved around it. Looking at this area, there are mountains that kind of block some of that, but there are some good areas that we can do. What I'm thinking of is an arrangement a little bit like this. This gives me the following improvements. I'm sorry, this is going to be a very map tack heavy run. I apologize, it's going to be slightly tricky to see all of that, but what I'm looking to do is improve all the tiles around these unique districts. You can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 mines that have 2 science on them. The amount of science I'll get from this is good. There's also some farms over on the left-hand side for this Seiwon. That's going to be really handy. Now, in order to get that to work, I've got to put the cities down to support it. And it's going to look a little bit like this. 1 city, 2 cities, 3 cities. A little bit frustrating because there's no fresh water around this city, but don't forget what I said. It's all about aqueducts, and there's a lot of stone, forest, and things that can get chopped. You like to chop resources. When aqueducts go down, honestly, you can produce some amazing district placement. And actually, I'm thinking that I can probably look a little bit later to get some really good aqueduct and industrial zone placement going on. Like, for instance, this tundra tile is flat, so that can eventually become a canal. I could aqueduct over to that tile, aqueduct over to this tile, and then suddenly I have an industrial zone placement there and there. It's very hypothetical, I know, but we can create some insane adjacencies if we look for them. I also have the option of stacking my unique districts to the north. The best thing to do with Korea is to search for hills, because then it shows you where you can produce the units. If you're playing on console, I apologize, I don't think you can search like that. You're just going to have to manually look for the hills. It won't really affect you. And actually, to the north of me, the only place that I could put my district would be this tile. The good thing about putting a district there would be that I'd be able to put farms around my capital that would improve it. The bad thing is that my capital would be even more cramped. Now, I want to throw my cities together a little bit because I don't need huge cities. It's all about getting as many of these districts down as possible, but I don't want my capital to be super squished. So yeah, it's a bit 50-50 actually as to whether or not that's a good idea or not. I'm also just a little bit hesitant of Mali. I don't trust them not to attack me. I really don't. And I'm also aware that I've got so many hills in this area. I really want to get some cities settled early so that I can make sure that if iron pops up, that nothing's going to block my placement of these 3 districts. That I just feel like normally iron pops up like on a sort of hill tile and just appears and suddenly you can't put your district there. I'm going to go with my gut and I'm going to make a defendable location for my cities. I'm going to move my settler over and put it on this left-hand tile. The reason for that is it's got full water before I discover aqueducts, and it's got some good placement of like nice food tiles that I can improve to work the city. It'll need a little bit of production, but there's some good 2-2 tiles on the second ring. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to have our first one. My capital is now going to work on my unique district. I'm going to have to buy the tile, unfortunately, for 50 gold, but this tile will never be earned whilst there are resources on the second ring. So we'll buy that tile, and then I'll build my +4 campus. Oh, and then I'll get my builder done quickly in order to get mines down. Speaking of, I'm going to go mining first so that when the builder's finished, I can immediately improve these tiles. One thing I don't think I actually pointed out was obviously the map tax I'm using all have the yields. That is an amazing mod called Detailed Map Tax. Now I keep a full list on Discord of all the mods that I'm using. I don't use any gameplay changing mods unless I tell you. These are all UI mods or user interface mods, and they just help the game. Nothing here is being given to me that isn't in the base game. It just helpfully like sort of shows it a bit better, which is nice. And there's a Pantheon. Okay, let's have a look and see what we can get. Now the first thing to do is to check on the first great scientist. If you have Hypatia as the first one, you get excited because she is the best classical era scientist. Libraries provide +1 science, instantly builds a library in this district. You want that. 4 cities gives you +4 science. It just stacks really nicely, especially with rationalism later in the game. So getting writer points is really easy, and because of that, Divine Spark always works well. Campuses with a library get +1 great person points per turn. It does stack nicely. The other thing to think about is how crazy the AI is going for a religion. Now today I'm not going to go too heavy on a religion, but career and religions work nicely. Feed the World obviously gives you a bunch of food, which lets you get more districts and housing out. You could also go for Jesuit education to be able to insta-buy your things like libraries with relics, stuff like that. That'd be really good. Other options, apart from the Settler Pantheon, which is always a good one, fertility rights, chosen city, well, the city gets a builder, which is really good actually, that would let me get my infrastructure sorted really quickly. But the city growth rate of 10% stacks very nicely later into the game. God of Craftsmen, 1 production, 1 faith from strategic resources. Hoping I get some iron and horses, that would be really good, but I don't like picking that blind if I don't see where the resources are. It can just be a little bit of a gamble. I haven't got a huge amount of marsh, otherwise the usual Lady of the Reeds and Marshes works well. River Goddess, if I am going to go religion, is always a good option because amenities are your friends. People really do not value amenities enough, and they are awesome. For me, I'm going to gamble on going for Divine Spark, and the reason is Marley. Marley has a lot of gold. Marley really wants my relic. Look at that. Bam. They will give me 15 gold per turn as well as 230 gold up front. Once my district is finished, I can buy in the library immediately for some more science, but also then to up myself to 3 scientist points per turn. It would guarantee me, hopefully, the first scientist. I think this is a really good thing. And then, of course, when I pick her up and put the free library in my second city, which hopefully won't be too long, I think this works really well. So I'm going to just sell it. It's going to give me tons and tons and tons of gold, and I can use that to get the infrastructure up. I think that's a good move. I'm happy with my choice there. You can see there's quite a lot of space between us. I'm going to just settle in this area for now, see if I can get all of my infrastructure out. But yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is wait for this to roll forward. We're going to go from 3 science per turn to 7. I get the era score from finishing my unique district. Beautiful. And then immediately we're going to buy in a library for 360 gold. That will put me to 9 science per turn, which is really good. Really helps me to get these early game resources sorted. But it also puts me to 3 scientist points per turn, 20 turns, and I will get my new great person. Here is my second city as well. Gives me the sailing boost for being on the coast. Now I want to put down my unique district as quick as possible. I can't right now because I haven't got the gold to buy that tile. And unfortunately, these tiles are all a bit rubbish. So I'm just going to put a turn or two into monument, actually no, into builder, and then we'll flip that over as soon as we can. Now, Mali likes civs with a high gold per turn income. They've forgotten all about the fact that the gold comes from them. So, you know, I haven't really done anything myself to earn that praise, but I'll take it. And look how strong the strategy is. Somebody actually did get a scientist, but it's not a good scientist compared to mine. I'm getting 3 times as many points and we are rushing it quickly. And here you go. Already I can buy this tile and then get my district down and sorted. The other thing I'm going to do is just wait a couple turns and buy a tile with 2-2, like this lovely stone. That will work nicely for me as well. It will just give me the production to actually build my district. Next up, I want to get animal husbandry. I want to see where the horses are. If I got horses, I want to improve them as quick as possible and then sell them. Did we get any horses? Yes, I have at least one source right where I just settled my city. Oh, and there's some there and there. Okay, we have plenty of horses. That's good. That means a Corsair rush, a cavalry rush later into the game. These are all possibilities. Now, bronze working. I do want iron, and I do want it fairly quickly, but I want to be able to put as many of these districts down as I can first before I do that. Otherwise, I just feel like we're going to have a little bit of a problem. So let's go wheel to start with. I think that's good. People are going for a religion. I don't really want to rush a religion myself. Not today. If Feed the World does appear, I'm going to go and see if I can steal it. The joy about going for a domination victory is that you can basically just borrow other people's. Don't mind me if I just kill you, Mr. Bob. Thank you so much. And already here is the salt, which gives me wheel as a boost and gives me a resource that I can sell to Mali for another bunch of gold. I always take the gold up front. I'm not convinced Mali isn't going to attack me, so they would, giving the benefit up front works really well. But B, Civ is a snowball game. It works really well when you can just very quickly get the gold, buy something the same term, and use that to improve. So in this particular circumstance, I'm going to buy a builder, improve those horses immediately. That'll give me more production. It will give me a benefit that I can use right now. Now, foreign trade is working. We're going to just switch to craftsmanship. Make sure you don't work this boostable area. If I find another continent right now, I'll get that civic for free. So we'll go craftsmanship. I'm going to end up improving both of these mines. That'll give me more gold, more amenities. That's pretty good. I think the next most important thing is not getting wonders or monuments, getting settlers. That's what I want to do. And then I want to see if we can go to early empire relatively soon to get that sorted. What I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go monument to get myself the early culture so we can unlock the governors first. It's important you go for governors as soon as you can, because Pingala will give you tons of extra science and culture, and that's before we put our Hwarang ability in as well. The second assault, well, that is mine. That stays with me. Also note how, because of my Seowon district, both of these mines are getting +1 science, which massively helps and has pushed me up to 12 science per turn. Now, normally, I'd be keeping up with the AI. Mali's having an absolute game, and it's because of Roriyama. I imagine they've settled. Yep, look, they've settled around it. Of course you would. It's going to be trouble. They're going to be very high science for a lot of this game, and we're going to have to watch that. There's horseback riding as well as being a little bit more production. Look at how quickly the city's now growing, but it's got some production in it. It's brilliant. What's in the tribal hut? Archery is a boost. Not a great one, being honest. A slinger kill is normally pretty easy to do, although saying that, I actually don't have any slingers in my nation, so maybe that wouldn't be too bad a thing. I'm also just going to now wait until this horse tile is revealed and claimed, and then I can improve that. I think that'll be very helpful. You can see as well, we've got another farm being popped down. That'll just help the city to grow, and once my Seowon district is finished, that will give us a beautiful extra piece of food. Always keep an eye out for areas that flood. That, I think, will have given quite a few extra yields to areas in this sort of bit. Yeah, actually, that's a 4 yield tile over there now, so putting a city down in this area suddenly looks a little bit more appealing. I do have wheel now, the water mill, is very handy in a city with resources that I'm going to improve, such as this one. We'll think about getting a water mill in there soon. Let's finally change away from God King. Urban planning is really handy. Let's do that. Maritime industries is good. If I'm planning on getting some boats out, I will just get sailing quickly. I think some galleys would be handy to go and explore the world, get ourselves some era score that way. I can also start selling horses to Mali if I trust them. The only problem with that is that they are just as likely to start attacking me with horses if I do that. So yeah, difficult to know whether that's worth it or not. I mean, I could use it to get another monument going. That is the only thing I'm thinking. Look, I'm starting to win this scientist nicely now. Very good. I'm going to take the risk. Yeah, 10 horses. It's not enough for them to do anything with, but it is enough for me to think about getting a monument in next turn. So I like that. I'm just waiting on a monument in this city rather than buying this tile. Because if I buy the tile, that's fine. But a monument lets me earn the tile myself quicker and gives me obviously more culture. So it's worth hanging on, I think. It's always worth as well keeping an eye on potential trade routes. You can see there is a 6 gold route to Mali available, which is pretty good. And it obviously gives me the boost to currency if I want to race towards apprenticeship. But I think for me personally, it's worth just going for one more settler. I'm just trying to think of the best option for that. Yeah, I think getting infrastructure out, getting myself my cities is the quickest thing. It's the best thing. As Korea works well having as many unique districts as possible, and we want to make sure that we have options there. Oh, look, a barbarian galley. That's always a little fun. Beautiful. A settler is 440 gold. I think I can just about save up for that, assuming my trade deal to Mali doesn't expire too soon away. 15 turns, and then it'll expire. It's not too bad. Now, I'll get the monument. I think having the extra monument to make sure these cities grow nicely, that's, for me, the more important thing. Horse number 2. Bam. Improved and in this city. Beautiful. As I say, just selling the horses alone is a good thing for me to do. Nobody's getting scientist points anymore. Whoever had that +1, I think whatever campus was giving that, it was pillaged. Recorded history boosted because that's my second unique district now sorted. And look, the farm next to it now has +1 food as well. And I can get a quarry down to boost masonry. It's all about getting all these boosts as much as you can. Actually, this builder, not important. I'd rather get a settler. So we're just going to work 2 cities now on getting settlers. We'll go craftsmanship, and then I'm going to go early empire and give myself colonization, production towards settlers. That works nicely. Scotland. Okay, we've met Scotland. Scotland are a decent ally. As long as you're not at war with anybody, they tend to work quite well. I'm going to send them a delegation. They only had -2, so we have a positive relationship with them already. So that's a good start. I also have the option of selling my luxury to them for some gold as well. That would help me just to get my infrastructure sorted quickly. They also want to buy my horses. That's really handy. Yep, you can buy my horses, absolutely, Scotland, and buy my salt for 10 gold per turn, because I did see that Mali has some coca that I'm able to let me sell. I can sell it for 10 gold and buy it for 2 gold. That works well. It's a good transaction. Always keep an eye out for things like that. Perfect. There we go. Look, we have a friend. We have a friend. They just doubled their science per turn. Did they just finish one of their... They may have just finished something. Oh no, they've just built the Etmentanki. Oh, I remember that. Education boosted because I now have my great person. Gonna flip her over to my second city. You can see we're already well on the way of getting the next scientist, but this will put a 3 library into this city and make this library worth 1 more science per turn. Library down, I'm going from 16.9 science per turn to 20.6. Beautiful. And finally, a very special shout out goes to Glorious Petra, I Am, Salty Tech, Matthew Wilkinson, Paul Coffey, Doughboy91, Sean Gratis, Scott Stratton, Major King Kong, Davalex, Skeptical Bear, Kroger Brand Trail Mix, Alex Noob, Cinnamon Beard, Portland, Petra Ryan, Matthew Hatch, Amir EC, Henry, Rom88, Radiatore, Private Selection, Genoa Salami, Boy Zorro, Callum Billy, Garrett Gowan. Thanks everyone!